For thousands of years we've looked back at ancient civilizations with a mixture of awe and, well, a bit of condescension. We marvel at their monuments, their art, their philosophy. But deep down, we've always assumed they were fundamentally primitive when it came to technology. We picture them toiling by candlelight, hammering bronze with stone tools, completely disconnected from the electrical age that, defines our modern existence. But what if that picture is wrong? What if the people who built the Colosseum and calculated the movements of the stars were also experimenting with something we thought was invented in the 19th century, the battery? The story begins not in Rome or Athens, but in a dusty museum basement in Baghdad, 1936. German archaeologist Wilhelm König was cataloguing artifacts excavated from the ancient Parthian settlement of Kujut Rabu, dating back over 2,000 years. Among pottery shards and clay tablets, he found something peculiar. A small terracotta jar, about 5 inches tall, sealed with asphalt. Inside was a copper cylinder, and suspended within that cylinder was an iron rod, carefully isolated from the copper by more asphalt. König stared at this arrangement and recognized something familiar, the basic components of a galvanic cell, a primitive battery. His conclusion was radical, almost heretical to the archaeological establishment. This wasn't just a jar, it was a device capable of generating electricity through chemical reaction. Fill it with an acidic solution, vinegar, lemon juice, even wine, and the interaction between the dissimilar metals would produce a measurable electrical current, roughly 1 to 2 volts. It wasn't much, but it was real. The Baghdad Battery, as it came to be known, suggested that ancient peoples understood principles of electrochemistry that we didn't rediscover until Alessandro Volta's experiments in 1800. The implications were staggering. If the Parthians, a civilization that existed between 247 BCE and 224 CE, possessed even rudimentary electrical technology, what else had been lost? What other capabilities had we dismissed as impossible simply because they didn't fit our narrative of linear technological progress? The scientific community remained skeptical, and rightfully so. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and a single artifact, no matter how suggestive, couldn't rewrite history. Critics proposed alternative explanations. Perhaps it was a scroll container, a vessel for sacred texts. Maybe it was used in religious rituals, creating a mild tingling sensation that priests could interpret as divine presence. Some suggested it was a medical device, an ancient form of electrotherapy for pain relief, a concept not as far-fetched as it sounds, since the Romans were known to use electric torpedo fish to treat headaches and gout. Yet replications of the Baghdad Battery have consistently demonstrated its ability to generate electricity. Modern experiments using reconstructed versions with vinegar as the electrolyte have successfully produced enough current to electroplate objects, coating one metal with another through electrical deposition. This opens a fascinating possibility: the exquisite gold and silver plating found on ancient artifacts, which we've always attributed to mechanical techniques like leaf hammering and mercury gilding, might have been achieved through electroplating, a process we thought was invented in the 19th century. But the Baghdad Battery wasn't alone in suggesting ancient electrical knowledge. Consider the mysterious gilded pillar of ancient Egypt, a symbol associated with stability and the god Osiris. Some researchers have noted its resemblance to high-voltage insulators used in modern electrical systems. Hieroglyphic depictions in the Temple of Hathor at Dendera show what appear to be large bulb-shaped objects connected to braided cables, with figures operating what looks like equipment. Mainstream Egyptologists interpret these as symbolic representations of lotus flowers and snakes, but alternative theorists wonder, could these have been attempts to illustrate some form of lighting technology? Then there's the Ark of the Covenant, described in biblical texts with really precise specifications. A wooden box overlaid with gold inside and out, with a golden lid and cherubim. Some scholars have pointed out that this construction creates a layered conductor-insulator-conductor arrangement, essentially a primitive capacitor capable of storing electrical charge. Ancient descriptions of people being struck dead for touching it improperly might not be divine punishment, but accidental electrocution. While this remains highly speculative and controversial, it demonstrates how certain ancient artifacts invite electrical interpretations once we're willing to consider the possibility. The practical applications of ancient electrical knowledge would have been honestly revolutionary. Electroplating could have allowed craftsmen to create gilt objects more efficiently and with more control than mechanical methods. In an age where appearance signified power and divinity, the ability to coat cheaper metals with precious gold and silver would have been invaluable. Temple priests could have used the mild current from battery arrays to create seemingly miraculous effects, tingling sensations when touching sacred objects, or the illumination of inner sanctums that appeared to glow without flame. Medical applications present another intriguing possibility. The ancient world was, desperate for pain relief, and the numbing effect of mild electrical current on human tissue was well known to those who handled electric fish. If ancient physicians discovered they could replicate this effect with manufactured devices, they would have possessed a powerful therapeutic tool. Roman physician Scribonius Largus actually documented the use of electric torpedo fish to treat various ailments in the 1st century CE. Evidence that the ancients understood electricity's medical properties, even if they didn't fully comprehend the underlying physics. The lighting hypothesis, while the most speculative, is also the most tantalizing. Ancient civilizations built structures with inner chambers devoid of windows, yet the walls show no soot deposits from torches or oil lamps. How did they see to create intricate paintings and carvings in total darkness? Some researchers propose that arrays of primitive batteries, possibly connected in series to increase voltage, could have powered rudimentary lighting systems. It sounds like science fiction, but the basic principles are sound. With enough cells and the right filament material, even ancient technology could have produced light. What makes these discoveries so profound isn't just their technological sophistication. It's what they reveal about human ingenuity. We've always known the ancients were brilliant architects, mathematicians and philosophers, but we've consistently underestimated their experimental spirit, their willingness to observe natural phenomena and attempt to harness them for practical purposes. The Baghdad Battery, whether it powered lights or plated jewelry or simply created religious awe, represents a fundamental human drive to understand and manipulate the forces of nature. The tragedy is how much knowledge was lost. The Library of Alexandria burned, the Roman Empire collapsed. Centuries of accumulated wisdom disappeared into the chaos of the Dark Ages. We'll likely never know the full extent of ancient technological achievement because the evidence literally went up in smoke or crumbled into dust. What we're left with are fragments, mysterious artifacts that hint at capabilities we can barely comprehend. scattered clues to a lost chapter of human innovation. Today, researchers continue to investigate these ancient enigmas using modern archaeological methods and materials science. Each discovery, each replication experiment brings us closer to understanding not just what our ancestors achieved, but how they thought, how they solved problems, how they pushed against the boundaries of their knowledge. The Baghdad Battery isn't just a curiosity. It's a reminder that progress isn't always linear, that civilizations rise and fall, taking their secrets with them, and that we should never assume we're the first to explore any particular technological frontier. As we stand here in our modern age, surrounded by devices powered by electricity flowing through circuits designed by sophisticated minds, we should remember those ancient experimenters who filled clay jars with acid and metal, watching in wonder as invisible forces produced tangible effects. They were scientists too, asking the same questions we ask. How does this work? What can we do with it? How can we make life better? Their answers might have been different from ours, their tools more primitive, their understanding incomplete. But their curiosity, their creativity, their determination to harness the power of the natural world, that was exactly the same. And that connection across millennia, that shared human drive to discover and create, might be the most electrifying thing of all. If this journey through ancient innovation has sparked your curiosity, subscribe to Through Time and join us as we continue uncovering the forgotten stories that connect our past to our present. Share this episode with someone who needs to be reminded that human ingenuity has been lighting up the darkness for far longer than we ever imagined. The past isn't as primitive as we thought, and the future begins with understanding where we've truly been.